Hello, dear friends. Only a few games left. Uh, Again, we will continue seeing and analyzing my games from Japan Open 2025. Yes, I'm playing against Hafiz Arif Abdul 2386, a very strong international master from Indonesia, and no doubts he has strength of at least 2450 and maybe even stronger. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Second game of the day. Uh, After my game against number one player from South Korea, I faced Hafiz. Bishop b5, I decided to go for Rui Lopez. a6, bishop a4, d6, and different moves are there. If c3, then f5 is coming. But no doubts, he was anyway going to play bishop d7, g6, bishop g7, and then knight f6 stuff. Short castle. I was also expecting, and before the game I checked b5, bishop b3, knight a5 lines. So I had some prep there. So d6, short castle, and now bishop d7, c3. Usually he was starting through g6, bishop g7 move order. In this game, he started with knight f6. And I didn't play rook e1 because I wanted to get some other setup. Instead of having my rook on e1, to have bishop on c2, d4, h3, bishop e3, and knight b1 to d2. So this was the setup I wanted to get. That's why I did not play rook e1 in this position. Very much possible move, no doubts. So I played bishop c2. And we can see computer is showing knight e7, d4, knight g6. Very funny move. Yes, g6, d4, bishop g7, h3, stopping all possible bishop g4 ideas, and short castle, bishop e3. This was the setup I wanted to get, and I got it. Yes, I'm ready to get to go knight d2, e takes d, c takes d. Another important line is being that, let's say opponent goes rook e8. We don't play d5. Very much possible move, but we are not engines, and it is quite difficult to play. Though here you already moved your rook from f8, and d5 makes a lot of sense. So later on, it will be quite challenging for black to prepare these f7, f5 ideas. But my point was to go here. And let's say you capture. I'm capturing with a pawn, and you go knight b4. Because if I go bishop b1, then bishop b5 and knight d3 is coming. So bishop b3, and now bishop b5. Because if you capture on e4, yes, I just take knight e4 and then bishop f7. Yes, typical idea. This is lost according to engines. King f7, knight g5 is coming, and this is queen d2, queen b3. Of course, the main idea is being bishop b5. How do we continue here? Rook e1 is possible, but we go knight g5, attacking the pawn on f7. Yes, d5 you should go, otherwise bishop f1 if I capture, then knight f7 or bishop f7. Knight f7, knight d6, knight d8. So b5. And now we are having two moves, a3 and e5. Let's go e5. And here, if knight h5, then g4, bishop takes f1. And we capture with the king. It is important to capture with the king. Yes, and this is much better position. Knight d7, queen f3, c5, e takes f, and knight h5, g4. White is being much better. E takes d, drawback of this setup, because now knight b4 is coming. Yes, you move the bishop, then you lose the pawn on e4. But I knew this. I knew very old game of Sergei Karyakin against Vladislav Artemiev. Somehow here in this position, bishops are not that good and knights are quite flexible. Rook e8 with the typical ideas to capture on e4 and then bishop f5. So here I played the most straightforward and the most logical move, rook f1 to e1. Computer is saying that e5 is also possible, and the best move is to go knight h5. Honestly speaking, I was thinking about bishop f5. How am I going to play after bishop f5? But now queen b3. Let's say d captures e. We take with the pawn. Knight goes back to d7. And something like knight d4 or rook d1, white is having better position. So after e5, knight h5, and why not g4? Because capturing on e5? Yes, capturing here. And if d takes c, some queen c8. Yes, very good move. Like it's threatening to capture on g4. So if I have knight h5, and game goes on, white is having slightly preferable position, not much. But bishop f5 maybe is not really working because of queen b3. Bishop e6, queen captures on b7. If you take on e5, then I'm taking with the pawn. So I played rook e1. So now all possible knight e4 ideas aren't working. And here we can see bishop c6 attacking the pawn, and after d5 going bishop d7 back, and then preparing some c6 ideas. Queen c8. Yes, I think here knight e4 isn't working because I have in the end bishop g5. Yes, bishop g5 is the only move. Otherwise d5 is coming. And I thought by playing queen c8, my opponent is having idea to capture on e4 and maybe even some bishop h3 ideas. So I played bishop f4, and the fourth best move. Rook c1 was there. Bishop g5, yes. Of course, I saw this bishop g5, but somehow I thought giving up the bishop for the knight, not the best idea. This, you capture and you jump with the knight and forcing opponent to go bishop d8, and this is better position for white because of some activity, and bishops are not enough active at the moment. Queen d2, rook d1, rook c1. So I played bishop f4, and now b5. Yes, he had some other intentions as well. b5, threatening some b4. And the problem is being with the bishop on f4, whenever you push e5, then knight h5 is coming with the tempo. So I played a3. The computer is saying e5, knight h5, bishop h2, maybe with some small pressure. I played a3, stopping b4. And now queen b7, great move. Black is slowly preparing some a5 and then b4. I played rook d1. Because if I push e5, I guess I'm losing my pawn, right? Yes, knight h5 and then bishop h3 ideas are coming. So rook d1. And here he could go. He could go this move. E5, knight h5. Yes. I always have before, stopping before ideas, and probably before is the best. I can also go bishop g5 before bishop f6, but this is not as good as previously. Yes, no doubts a5 would have been better move for him. And computer likes a takes d5 or direct d5. So he played rook c8 with the intention to go c5 at some point before, and now c5. But this does not really work. Bishop captures. If you take c takes b, then I'm taking a takes b. Always I have bishop c5 ideas. So c takes d4, and I played knight takes d4 because if rook d4, I didn't like this move. Rook takes c3, and now knight takes e4. Yes. If I'm playing queen c7, then queen captures and then bishop d4. If I'm taking rook e4, then rook e4. Yes. Game slowly ends in a draw. Though here my opponent all the time was trying to make this knight d5 move working in our post-game analysis. So knight d5. Yes, this is also quite interesting. Rook captures. And now bishop takes c3. I'm moving my rook from e1. And bishop captures on b4. Yes. Queen b2. White is having slightly preferable position. Knight d4. And now all possible rook c3, queen c3, knight e4 does not work. Knight e4 does not work because of rook e4. Yes, we can check it again. Yes, rook e4, white is winning. If you capture and then you capture, yes, queen c7 is enough. Let's say you take, I take, and now knight c3. Yes, but here I can take and rook e1. Only move, but it's enough. If you go something like rook e4, I guess we are capturing with the rook. Yes. Knight takes e4, queen e4. If you try a rook c3, queen captures, knight e4, and queen c7 again. You capture, I take, you go knight c3, and now I'm having, yes, this rook d2 or rook d3. You capture my knight, and I'm moving the king. Yes, king h1, king h2, king f1, white is completely winning. And yes, knight d5 was possible. He didn't play this move because of this. He takes the rook takes e1, rook takes e1, bishop takes d4, and here bishop c5. Yes, and he said that bishop c5, b takes rook c5. I'm moving my queen, and along a1, h8 diagonal, I'm very superior. Yes, bishop c3, queen d5, but once again along a1, h8 diagonal, white is having many different uh, threats. So I played rook c4, and I came up with this bishop c5, and now bishop c6, the best move. I was thinking about bishop h3, g takes h, knight d7. Yes, 92. I saw this 92. Knight captures, b takes c5. And here during the game, I was thinking maybe my opponent has some compensation, but now we see that computer saying white is winning. So once again, rook c3 isn't working, knight e4 is not working because I'm capturing with the rook. Very simple. So bishop c6, threatening my pawn and also preparing knight d7. Takes, and I played queen d3, one of the best moves. If rook d6, I was thinking just queen c8. Queen c8 is also possible. Computer likes more queen a8. So I played queen d3. And here I was already in time trouble, in time uh, scramble. I didn't have much time, maybe less than 3 minutes. Mm, Yes, definitely I should work on my time management. Yes, I saw this bishop f8, and my point was to go after bishop f8. I wanted to go e5. Yes. Computer is saying bishop d4 is also okay. Rook d8, knight d5, knight d5, bishop b2, which is quite difficult to see, but I saw the c5 move and I was super happy. I'm attacking the knight, you capture, I'm capturing with the b pawn. Yes, I'm much better. Uh, Knight d4, of course, the main move. And here my point was to go queen d5. I saw this queen d5, queen captures knight d5. And honestly speaking, I was already thinking that game is over, but computer once again uh, finds some more resources. Rook b8. And now I thought knight b6 is finishing the game, but knight c3 is there. So I have knight e7, knight c6, and knight a5, or knight b6. White is better, but game still goes on. So he played knight e7, not the strongest continuation. Queen captures. And now queen takes, rook takes. If you go rook c3, then rook e3, rook captures, and now f takes c. Rook e4 does not work because of check, and I'm ready to go rook a7 and slowly start collecting your pawns. Bishop c3. Yes, I found another good move. Yes, if you take rook e4, rook f3 is very strong. But I was also thinking about this check and then another check maybe. Yes, computer says bishop f8, king f6, black is okay. The best move is to go rook f3. So it was this. I played rook f3, attacking the pawn on f7 and f6 by my opponent. Let's say if you capture, I capture, and you go bishop b4, bishop takes b4, rook b4, and rook takes f7. White is completely winning. So f6. I played g3. Very good move. A takes b. And here, for some reason, I played bishop b4 and lost huge part of my advantage. After capturing with the pawn, white is winning, +3, almost +3. So the point is being, if you take something like this, I go rook b7. Let's say you capture it back. You capture. Yes, this, and rook f6. This position is just lost because I'm going rook f7 and I'm threatening some checkmate ideas. I'm also winning some of your pawns. And rook endgame is winning for white. And after a takes b, just a takes b. If you capture, then we take it back and we go rook f6 with the idea to go rook f7. And doesn't matter how do you take on e4, I just go rook f7. And then I'm winning one of your pawns. And no one cares about b pawn because very easily I will place one of my rooks on b7, stopping it. And slowly with the support of my king, I will start advancing my h, g, and f pawns. Yes, you can see the evaluation. I took bishop b4, and now bishop takes b4, a takes b, and I kind of forgot about rook f8. And objectively, after rook f8, black is surviving. Yes, I managed to see this rook b3. If I try something like this, I guess rook f7 is the problem. Yes, rook f7. Yes, takes. I played rook b7, rook e5. And I'm sure that from this position I could pose much more problems than I eventually did, because I think at least I could win this b5 pawn, and having extra b pawn, of course, it is theoretically drawn position. But let's not forget that very recently Sam Sevian won against Alexander Peretke. So very, very high rated strong grandmasters are making mistakes. So Uh, yes, I already told you that I was in time trouble. I was in time scramble, and I didn't have much time. And yes, to figure out, I played rook a3. Maybe rook c3 would have been much better. So rook f7, I played check. Yes, here king g7, I played this. Yes, somehow here I could go rook a5. I was of course scared very much about f4, but computer is saying just g4, and yes, I think we are sacrificing our f2 pawn, but eventually we are getting our rooks on 7th. Yes, still not much. I played king g2 with the idea f4, g4, not allowing any f3, but rook f7, another classy move. I played h4 to stop all possible g5. I don't know how much black is aiming for g5, so king g7, and here, of course, I panicked. King h3, you don't need your king on h3. Even if your king is on h3, you would most likely bring it back to g2. So I played this and rook f6. Yes, I went check. I played this, trying to win this pawn with the king on h3, but rook e2. So I took it and rook b7. And here after h5, we agreed in a draw. Very big chance. You just capture on b4 with the pawn and you win this game. Or you are having massively better position, winning position. Yes. I don't know why. I took with the bishop and I thought maybe this is a unique chance for me to take with the bishop, um, since pawn on f6 is under attack, but I forgot about rook f8. Thank you very much, dear friends. Please leave your comments